Hello and welcome back to the channel. It's day 3 of the World Cup recap on the channel. Trying to be as consistent as I can with it. It's getting slightly harder that there's nearly about 4 games a day now, but we're going to still keep going at it. This is the World Cup recap. So first up, we have Qatar against Switzerland, which finished 1-1. Qatar had a great chance in the opening minute to go 1-0 up. They didn't take the opportunity, and realistically then after that it was all one-way traffic from Switzerland. And Bolo then put them up 1-0 from a penalty. As I said, one-way traffic then after that. I think they had about 68% possession throughout the game with about 26 shots on goal. They should have definitely widened their lead. It was insane that they didn't, to be fair, with all the chances that they had, but they would go back to kind of rue it in a way, because obviously Qatar did go on to get an equaliser very, very late on through an own goal to get their first ever World Cup point, which was absolutely unbelievable. The scenes were crazy. I think if they were to pack up their bags now and head away home and forget about the rest of the tournament, I'd say they'd be happy with just getting their first ever World Cup point. But no, in fairness, finishing up that game 1-1, a brilliant point for Qatar, but an absolutely brutal point for the Swiss. The second game of the day then was Brazil against Morocco. That was also a 1-1 draw. Sabiri put Morocco 1-0 up with a delicate chip over Alisson Becker, an absolutely superb finish. Although the only thing I would say about that is that Brazil's defence parted like the Red Sea, so that is definitely going to be something that they'll want to rectify going into the second game. It wasn't a good look for them in the slightest. Vinícius Júnior then got the sides level with a brilliant finish into the far corner. Good bit of trickery out in the left wing, cut back in, and a far corner finish was absolutely superb. Both sides had great chances realistically throughout the game. Alisson actually had to make a good double save, one kind of long range one, and then it kind of parried out, so he had to get up to save the rebounded effort, you could say. So he did well for that. But overall, I'd probably say the fairest result was a draw. Really, I wasn't overly impressed in the slightest with Brazil, and yeah, I don't know. I think when you're looking at the Brazil squad of years ago and you kind of see certain names, it just doesn't have the same effect on you, I think, anymore. It's just the second time since 1978 that Brazil have drawn their opening game at a World Cup. The last time was in 2018, where they drew 1-1 with Switzerland, and they didn't really do anything in that tournament either at the time. So, look, still a lot of issues that Carlo Ancelotti will need to rectify for Brazil. Coming out of the game, I was definitely more excited by what Morocco could do for the rest of the tournament rather than Brazil. The first win then of the day came for Scotland against Haiti, as that one finished 1-0. It was Scotland's first World Cup win in 36 years, with John McGinn's deflected goal being the difference. Do you know, in fairness, I kind of thought going into the game that I thought Scotland would have a lot more for Haiti, but it was a fairly even game throughout. Possession was fairly even. Haiti had a few chances of their own. They actually missed a sitter in the dying minutes through Piero to actually get the draw that they probably deserved. It was a great win, of course, for Scotland. Like I said, first World Cup win in 36 years. But I think, funnily enough, in a group as well with Morocco and Brazil, I definitely didn't expect to see Scotland at the top after the matchday 1 games finished in that group. But no, like I said, probably the fairest result for that one was more than likely a draw. But I can definitely see and say easily that like Brazil and Morocco are going to have way too much for Scotland and Haiti. But at the end of the day, Scotland are the only one in that group with a win. You'd imagine in a World Cup, 4 points will probably get you through to the knockout. So if they could manage a draw somehow against Morocco or Brazil, you could see Scotland going in further into the competition. Then the fourth and final game on Saturday going into Sunday morning was at 5 o'clock, and it was Turkey against Australia. Irankunda and Metcalfe came up with 2 sublime finishes for Australia to get just their 5th ever World Cup win. It was Australia's first opening day win in 20 years, so an absolutely unreal occasion for them. It was totally a game won 2-0. It's very hard to actually kind of think of saying this, but it was definitely a smash and grab 2-0 win, which sounds, as I said, mental to say. It was total dominance from Turkey. They had 30 shots to Australia's 9. As I said, the dominance was there from Turkey, but if you can't finish it off with the goals, there's no point even talking about it. They were brilliant. They were brilliant to hold out Australia, but Turkey definitely will be kicking themselves that they didn't put away one of those 30 shots at goal. And then to conclude the day 3 recap, we'll just go through the games that we have on this evening. So we have Germany and Curacao. I'd say Germany, fairly handy enough win for Germany there. Netherlands and Japan. It's actually hard to know, really. Netherlands haven't looked too strong going in their kind of friendlies. Just before the World Cup, they haven't looked exactly flying off the mark, shall we say. So never know. Japan always do well at the World Cup, so you never know there. Ivory Coast and Ecuador. I wouldn't know too much about either of them if I'm being completely honest. Ecuador did okay, I think, in the last World Cup, but 4 years is a long time. So I wouldn't be judging it too much off that. I'll just go with Ecuador, say. As I said, know very little about how either side are doing or how they got there. And then Sweden, Tunisia. Tunisia have a fair few decent actual players that I've heard of before, in fairness. Sweden, yeah, it's another tough one to call, to be fair. I'd say the strength of Europe would probably catch out maybe Tunisia, but you know what, I said the same as well for Australia and Turkey, so I wouldn't completely take my word for that. But yeah, look, that's the day 3 recap. 4 games, as I said, trying to balance everything out and make sure that I don't miss anything that was half important in 4 games is tough enough. But no, hopefully, as I said, the consistency keeps going, we'll be fine. So until the day 4 recap, if you could like and subscribe, share the channel to somebody who might enjoy these recaps, that'd be great. And until the day 4 recap, I'll talk to you later.